Hey everyone, pretty excited to share this tag duo with you today. I started with the Craft and You design collection called Spring Garden, and I die cut two number 8 tags using the Tim Holtz and Sizzix tag die. Now I'm using golden medium, fluid matte medium, and some Tim Holtz tissue tape to kind of collage some background pieces on. On top of the tissue tape, I'm using old prescriptions, like from an old prescription pad, and I love how dated the paper is. And they were like written in pencil before anybody was trying to steal prescriptions and things like that. It's pretty cool. I love having some of these around, and the patterns that are on the paper, it's very subtle and kind of vintage and a little bit feminine, and there's some cursive in the background and things like that. And so the collage on top is really playing well with this gorgeous paper, and I love how it all kind of works together. After everything was dry, then I just snipped off the extras that were hanging over. And now I've got a little bit of gesso in a little palette, and I've added a bit of water, and I'm whitewashing the background. So what this is going to do is kind of help everything blend together and recede into the background a little bit, and then I can kind of build on top of it with some other elements. I am also using a baby wipe to wipe back the whitewash a little bit, and then I'll add some more. Wipe it back, add some more, wipe it back, add some more. And it's kind of this little song and dance that you just have to play until you get the exact look you're going for. Because if you add too much whitewash, then you lose all those great textures and patterns you were working on. And now I am going to I've die cut some white cardstock, just plain 65-pound white cardstock, and I'm going to kind of, it plays a lot of roles. Excuse me. First, it reinforces kind of the paper I've been working on. It's gotten wet and expanded a little bit. But also, I have sewn the edges about 1/4 of an inch in, I would say. I have sewn all the way around the edge of the two tags. And now I can distress all the edges. And I'm not going to do all of that on camera because it takes a very long time. But you can use scissors or your fingernail or any of your favorite distressing tools. I really enjoy the Prima distressing tool. It has so many different distress edges to it. Now I've gone back to the gesso, and in this tag set, I'm using Liquitex's Professional Gesso. Smooth. It has really great body to it. It's kind of thin, which is what I want when I am collaging and really want my background to show through. But you can see there, I did go over it twice because it is so thin. You could use a heavy gesso if you like. It just may go on quite thick. Um, the great thing about the Sizzix Tim Holtz tag is that it does cut those little reinforcements, but I usually just have a pack laying around and I use the stickers. Now I'm stamping some Viva Las Vegas stamps that I just designed, and these came out in our newest release. This is the, I think, Squiggly Star Collage is what Jeff ended up calling it. And I'm embossing these in Wow's Black Embossing Powder, and it is so fine, and when it melts, when you heat it and melt it all together, the detail that comes through from the embossing powder is super impressive, because I worry fairly often if I'm going to lose detail from embossing, but with that embossing powder it never happens. And it makes the images so crisp and clear in that black, because you can even see kind of right there in this chevron collage that I should have put a little more ink on that very first one, but the embossing powder really helps kind of cover in that spot that I seem to have missed with ink. And this is one of the Ranger Ink Essentials heated tools, and they do get hot enough to melt embossing powder. I know that's kind of a wishy-washy thing for some people, but basically you just have to hold it in place a lot longer than you do some of the more narrow-ended heat guns. All right, so those are embossed. And now I've got out a Stabilo Marxall pencil and I'm outlining the stamps with a nice kind of heavy line. And then I'm using just a round paintbrush and some water and then activating that Stabilo and creating this kind of really grungy halo effect. And I still want the Stabilo to be nice and dark around the edge of the stamp, but then I kind of want the grunginess to dissipate the further it gets away from the image. And the thing about Stabilo Marxall is that they are always water reactive, so keep that in mind if you're using them in the base layer. Now I've got a piece of chipboard from Umwow Studio called Man in the Moon. And it comes with 3 pieces, and I'm using 2 of the 3 here, and I'm covering them with the Liquitex gesso again. Now, here's the thing about covering chipboard with gesso. If you leave too much texture, then that texture is always going to be there. And I really wanted like kind of like a very smooth, slick surface for this embellishment. So I've applied 3 or 4 layers of paint with my finger. And this way, excuse me, and this way I can keep the layers nice and thin and smooth, and I won't end up with any ridges, because after the gesso is dry, I'm going to glue that smaller kind of more detailed piece onto the basic background. Let those completely dry. Oh, and I had some extra gesso left over. So I've really learned from a lot of other artists, like, don't let your materials go to waste. That always kind of, you know, bugs us. So I have this little journal here that I've been working in, and I just picked a page that needed a little more life and added my gesso there and kind of some scrapes. Kind of playing around a little bit here. Trying to decide exactly what I want to do. Now I've got some gel medium from Golden, and it's really great to adhere chipboard, as well, especially chipboard to chipboard, but also chipboard to paper and other things you'll be working with. Give that some time to dry. Just a few minutes really makes a good bond if your gel medium's not too thick. And then I've gotten out some excuse me, goodness, some Deco Arts Antiquing Cream, and this is in the gray. And here's that song and dance again. I put some down, I lift some up, I put some down, I lift some up, until I'm happy with the outcome. And I just need to kind of fix that tail a little bit to make it a little darker, and there we are. Heat it, dry, and then everything is permanent on my moon. Oh, I really love how it looks. Now he fits right in, nice and grungy. And I'm going to do to this chevron the same thing that I did to the star. So I've used my Stabilo Marxall to go around all of the edges, and then I'm using my paintbrush to grunge it up and kind of pull that Marxall kind of all around the tag. And now I can also say, when I sewed on that white tag on the back of the Design and You tag, it really added a lot of sturdiness, and I was able to add quite a bit of water to these tags without them buckling, so that was really nice. And I've got some burlap twine that I am stringing in the holes of my tags, and I just string it through and then I kind of knot it at the end as an extra little fancy touch. It also kind of helps anchor it down so that my burlap twine isn't all over the place. And now I'm using some Tim Holtz rub-ons. I used Make-A-Wish, and that's going to go right on the cheek of my little moon here. And I've always had really good luck with rub-ons. I've almost never had them, you know, tear or anything like that. I was having a hard time getting the plastic off this one because they're so itty bitty, but everything worked out really well in the end. And I'm using some white thread, just sewing thread, to wrap around my tag and tie in a knot in the back. And then I'm going to gel medium down my chipboard star, and I'm just going to put something heavy on it. You could put a book or anything like that. In this case, I just put a very full container of either matte medium or the gesso or gel medium that I have lying around. Anything that's nice and thick, oh, I used the gesso. Anything that's nice and thick and heavy that's going to kind of hold that down for a little while I work on the other pieces. And I've pulled out my Lost and Found collection for 7 Dot Studio, and I am using the word stickers, Reach for the Stars. And I'll finish this tag set off with a black pen and just draw around Reach for the Stars. Thanks so much for being here, and I hope you enjoyed this tag duo. Let me know if you have any questions about the products or techniques, and I'll make sure to get those answered. And don't forget to subscribe. Thank you so much.